Okay, fam. So it is June 25th, 2026, and it's approximately 3:06 p.m. Eastern Side, Gregorian calendar. Hear me out. So I'm new to Sloan Hooks, okay? But I'm over at Sloan Hooks channel. And the title, as you can see, Clive Davis's final words. He unalived Whitney Houston, and the others are still out there with proof. So we're going to go ahead and tap into this video. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Sloan. Sloan, back to you.
Whitney Houston was killed, and it wasn't her fault. It was a calculated plan that was rehearsed, funded, and orchestrated around her without her control, with powerful executives like Clive Davis pushing Whitney to her breaking point, and so-called family members like Pat Houston ready to take control. Whitney had no chance of surviving, and as soon as she was killed, they wasted no time profiting off of her legacy. This is what really happened to Whitney Houston, so let's get into it. Before we kick off this video, I have an update for you guys. I don't know if I should be crying or cheering because Clive Davis is now dead. In today's video, we're talking about his relationship with Whitney Houston and a lot of the unanswered questions. Well, now he's dead. Maybe we'll get some answers. Clive was struggling. His health had been struggling. He was in the hospital up until June 4th. Then he spent some time at home until he passed away at 94. We don't know how he passed away, but we do know that he had upper respiratory issues. And that is what ultimately took him out. And of course, social media has plenty of mixed reactions. This person writes, I hope Whitney Houston's soul is rested. Rest in peace to Whitney Houston. I still think he had Whitney Houston killed.
I just got paid $62,000 for my car accident using nothing but this app on my phone.
If you've never heard of free case evals, it's quickly becoming one of the largest legal help platforms in the country.
Killed, this person writes. And finally, this person writes, okay, now that he's no longer here with us, can Brandy tell us what that note said? And today we're talking about why people believe Clive Davis is responsible for Whitney Houston's death. I mean, in my opinion, I'm included in that group. We're also going to talk about that note from Brandy. So now let's get into the video. I'm a huge fan of Whitney Houston's, but I've always felt so unsettled about her death because she's never really gotten justice. Yet there's people running around enjoying that Whitney Houston money. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Pat Houston. There are other players like Clive Davis and Nick Gordon who have also been deemed responsible by the public. And today I want to talk to you guys about what really happened to her and the specific people who took advantage of her and her daughter to control her fortune. To explain to you guys how Whitney was taken advantage of, I need to take you back to...
So before he gets into all that, I want y'all to comment below about her mother. What do you think about her mom and being involved in this? You know what I'm saying? It's always the family members around that end up being handlers as well. And like Sloan, like he just mentioned, after Whitney passed, right? After Whitney went on, there was a big struggle over who was going to get her fortune. Well, it wasn't a struggle because they already had it implemented as to how they were going to disperse it. Now, the problem was Bobby Christina. That was their problem. And I'd be damned if they didn't do her the same way they did her mama. Let's get into it. Back to you, Sloan.
To that date, February 11th, 2012, because Clive Davis had a huge event planned for that day. He is a very powerful music executive that controlled Whitney's career and many others. He also had really close ties to Diddy. They were like besties, or maybe still besties, yet Clive is on his deathbed. Honestly, I thought we were gonna lose you, Clive. I thought you were gonna go and meet your maker, or maybe meet someone else, if you know what I'm saying. But he's 94. I guess he's been released from the hospital. I wonder if he's starting to reflect back on his life. Because what he did to Whitney was so dirty. On the day that she died at the Beverly Hills Hilton Hotel, he had a Grammys party. He's actually had a Grammys party for decades and decades. It's right before the awards show, and a bunch of people, the most elite people in music, attend. And Whitney Houston was planning on attending that date. Whitney's one of the biggest people in music, and I would assume that this party would have been canceled if she died in the hotel just hours before. How eerie would it be that we're celebrating her music, we're talking about her, she was supposed to be here, yet she died 4 floors above us? Well, Clive did not...
And they announced her death before she passed away. Go ahead, Sloan. I'm trying not to interrupt you, brother. Go ahead and do your thing with them beautiful eyes.
Not do that. Clive decided to proceed with the party, and it's disturbing how he tries to justify this. I mean, he led her to her death. He even states, "It was painful. First of all, it was shocking. I had been with her 48 hours earlier. I wonder what condition she was in." To give you context, Clive Davis never gave Whitney Houston a break. He worked her and worked her. She was clearly not well, dealing with drugs, and he pushed her to her breaking point because he saw dollar signs. He didn't care if she embarrassed herself on stage or how she behaved because he just wanted more money, more attention, and sacrificing her wasn't a big deal. It's so disturbing to imagine that she was supposed to attend this party, probably had her dress and everything ready to go. She was staying in the hotel where the party was at, so clearly she was going to attend, yet she was dead. I would feel so uncomfortable attending that party.
Hi, how you doing? This is security from Beverly Hilton. Hi, what's going on? I need the paramedics. Apparently, got a 46-year-old female found in the bathroom. That's all I've got right now, but they're requesting paramedics. Okay, female fell in the bathroom. What room is she in? I'm not sure. She fell or she was in the bathroom with the water. 4464? 434, I'm sorry. That's room 434? Yes. Okay, and that's not east, west, or anything else? That's room 434? Yeah. Okay, you don't know if she's conscious of breathing at all? Apparently she wasn't breathing and she's 46-year-old. She was not breathing? Yes. Okay, but she is breathing now? I don't know.
One thing that's odd about Clive's statement is that he claims that she was trying to impress him with what she learned in rehab. He explained how she had given up smoking, how she cleared her throat of nicotine, and she was wanting to start going into the studio again. Little did he know she was going to be dead 48 hours later. Or did he know?
When you marijuana, you lace it, you roll it up, and you smoke it, and you weed. It's just another form. It's like almost like heroin, cocaine, speedballing, but you level it off with the marijuana. Okay.
So your drug of choice was weed combined with cocaine.
Rock cocaine.
With rock cocaine.
Yes.
If you were so close to Whitney Houston, if she was trying to impress you with explaining how she's improved, wouldn't you be even more shocked and more emotionally unstable, like after learning that she died just hours before? I do not understand this. I mean, maybe he just sees dollar signs again. He doesn't want to cancel the party because he's paid for everything. So he's trying to say like, oh, Whitney would have wanted us to celebrate. I don't think she was prepared to die.
Why did you let the party go on?
Of course, this is a personal thing. But the Grammys were the next night. You don't cancel. You turn an evening into a tribute.
You did a magnificent evening.
Into...
Did you give a thought to canceling?
Never.
You never thought?
Never.
Did you ever think...
And the family did not want me to give a thought to cancel. No.
Like, how long were you working on that tribute? Did you guys have that prepared just a couple hours before? A couple days before? Clive said, look, I called her family. I said this was her favorite party. We have to celebrate her. We've got to not only celebrate her life, but also provide a peaceful haven for the mourners to be together and not feel alone. We agreed to go on and celebrate her life and her unique talent with the music that she loves so much, he said. But there were some people who were appalled at the time. Thank God. Some people...
See, that was an absolute ritual. Like, that's just fucking dirty. You not only do you unalive the lady, but then you continue on and you play her music. So let's think about this. In the history of music, right? How many times have they just played shit off or unalive somebody and then continue on with their music? But this is just blatantly like, God damn, that lady body ain't even cold yet. Rise in power, Whitney. Rise in power.
People have morality in Hollywood, and I'm talking about Shaka Khan. She actually spoke out publicly against this party and the fact that Clive Davis pushed her to this point, yet then celebrated her after her death just a few hours after. The world was still crying. Her family was not ready. It just feels like it's all for show, and I'm glad that Shaka actually called it out.
The Clive Davis party.
Yes.
It was a surreal event where Whitney's body was still in the hotel, and there was this sort of party where apparently half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that?
I thought that was complete insanity.
Yeah.
And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She's the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not going to be there. I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her.
He obviously worshipped Whitney, and I think he must have gone through agony when he heard this news, knowing it was 2 or 3 hours till this event.
Right.
And I think he took the decision to turn it into a tribute to her. And I understand that. I mean, he obviously was wrestling with the right thing to do.
That would have been right if it really was a true tribute. In my opinion, it would have been maybe call everybody together, let's say a prayer, and let's eat dinner and go home. As soon as I hit the tarmac, I found out, I heard, and I couldn't put on makeup. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't do anything. I was paralyzed.
So Whitney Houston had a tragic death, and Clive Davis didn't even blink an eye. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I promise you, we're going to get to it, okay?
If you got hit, even as a passenger or in an Uber, you would need to try this. Were you recently injured in a car accident?
To it, okay? So I want to talk more about Whitney's death and who's responsible, but I want to briefly mention her daughter's death. You may remember that Bobby Christina Brown passed away in a very eerily similar way to her mother. She went by Christina, and she was actually found unresponsive in a bathtub in Georgia in a residence that she shared with her boyfriend. Again, in the bathtub, on drugs. It's like really eerie. There was one person really close to Whitney at the time, and that's Pat Houston. She was Whitney's sister-in-law turned estate executor. I don't quite understand how she became the one in charge. According to Google, Pat was Whitney's sister-in-law because of Whitney's brother, Gary. And she actually served as Whitney's manager at some point, and Whitney felt very trusting of her. But what's interesting about Pat is that after Whitney died, all of her fortune went into her daughter's name. So then Pat decided to tie herself very close to Bobby Christina Brown. Now, our third character who I've been teasing is Nick Gordon, and this is where the drugs come in. He's supposedly the guy who supplied not only Whitney but her daughter with the substances that later took their lives. Bobby Brown believes Nick Gordon killed Whitney and Bobby Christina. This headline reads, Bobby believes he knows the person responsible for the deaths of his ex-wife and his daughter. In an episode of Red Table Talk, he opened up about some of the tragedies he's gone through. According to Bobby, he thinks Nick was the one who provided the drugs to both of these women. He said, quote, he was the only one there for both situations with my ex-wife and my daughter, and they both died the exact same way. Bobby also believes that Nick's abusive relationship with his daughter led to her demise. Quote, she was stuck in this abusive relationship with a boy that basically controlled her to a point where it felt like her life was taken away from her. Kind of sounds like Clive Davis and Whitney Houston. Nick was never named a suspect in Whitney Houston's death, but in the wake of Bobby Christina's death, it looks like her family blamed him for their loss. They filed a lawsuit claiming that he gave her a toxic cocktail that made her unconscious and then placed her face down in a tub of cold water. Nick was found liable for her death after failing to show up to court and was ordered to pay over $36 million in a wrongful death lawsuit. He passed away, though, on January 1st, 2020 of a heroin overdose.
Look at that.
This
Look
person
at that.
writes on Reddit, do
Look
you think
at
that
they took everybody out? God damn. Woo! Damn. Because I'm telling you, that Nick dude was probably ready to tell the truth. You understand what I'm saying? And when they tie to these contracts, these blood contracts, when they tie to these contracts, it ain't really much they can do because, you know, they've signed with their blood here, their soul. You understand what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, man. Took the whole crew out. Damn, man. Back to you, Sloan. Back to you, baby.
Clive Davis has something to do with the death of Whitney Houston? I've heard many people say that Pat Houston and Nick Gordon has something to do with it. I agree, but I've been hearing Clive's name come up a lot and even Diddy, so what do y'all think? This person writes, I don't know for sure, but weird things were said to have happened those last few days. She was reportedly acting erratically while her team originally claimed that they thought she was clean. When found in her bathwater, it was still incredibly hot, meaning it was even hotter when she stepped in. Chrissy was also found in a bathtub, and Whitney pulled her out. Supposedly, she didn't like hotel bathrooms, so her taking a bath was weird. It was claimed that her bathwater was still running and leaking onto the floor below her room. This person says, with Whitney's death, I don't know. I think there's a chance it wasn't foul play and a chance that it was. With her daughter, I definitely believe it was foul play and probably Nick Gordon's fault. This person writes, there was no foul play. It was a tragic situation, and all these conspiracies is just people coping and wanting to blame someone, and Clive and Pat are the easiest targets. But this person says the facts don't add up. Her water was 93 degrees hours after she died. She had all these bruises on her body. Her room was a hot mess, not referring to the substances. In Oprah's interview with Pat, she said she walked very slowly down the hall and told a lady to call 911. Why would she say call 911 when she doesn't even know what she's calling for? This person writes, personally, I don't think there's any coincidences at that level. The way that she died, especially in the same hotel he was in, has never sat right with me.
Sometimes I think about Clive
have in my conversations during the album makings. And there have been times when he and I just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And after a while, I find that to be funny because me and Clyde have been together for 25, going on 30 years. Therefore, there have been moments of times where he just goes, you know what, you're just impossible. And I go, out of all these people and all the walls that you have on these people, you have Sly Stone, you got Janis Joplin, you got Art Funk, Simon & Garfunkel. I'm the most impossible one. He goes, yeah, and I just thought that was the funniest thing. That's funny. After his long career as executive and someone who knows how to take a singer and a song and put them together, you know what I'm saying, and just knows how to go out there and get that raw talent. I just thought, wow, I'm impossible.
So we've spoken about Pat Houston, but I really want to talk about her because she is the executor of the estate. That's like the people who control Michael Jackson's estate and make these movies. They're making a bank off of him and the IP. Whitney really trusted Pat because she married Whitney's brother and she trusted her brother. But the way that Pat handled things afterwards just seems suspicious to me, especially when it comes to Bobbi Kristina. It kind of seems like after she passed away, she went on a little press tour about her death and kind of assumed the role as the person who's assuming like the Whitney's brand. You know, she's the one who's now going to be the person you go to when you want to remix a Whitney Houston song or make a Whitney Houston movie because she's going to be cashing her check.
There are a lot of people out there that don't understand how hard you fought to help Chrissy, to keep her here on this earth.
When we really found out that Chrissy was in trouble, we were really making plans to do something about it, but it just came a little too late.
She was like a second mother to Bobbi Kristina, Whitney's manager, confidant, and sister-in-law, who was with her 3 days before she died. Pat had planned an intervention for Chrissy and wanted to send her to rehab in California, but then...
What happened to Bobbi Kristina Brown?
After being found unresponsive in the bathtub.
She is breathing with a ventilator.
Court papers claim Nick Gordon injected Chrissy with a toxic mixture before she was found face down in the bathtub. Today, Nick remains in hiding, and many question if he had a role in her death. Pat always had her doubts and even filed a restraining order against Nick last year after he posted threats and photos of guns.
Dealing with that restraining order, how hard was that?
We had a little hiccup, with the restraining order. She didn't understand it. Where the world saw that, she was angry and mad at me, and she was texting me all along. And I really tried to show her, I'm going to do this, to let you know that you don't have to be afraid of anything. I got you.
If you got hit, even as a passenger or in an Uber, you would need to try this. Were you recently injured in a car accident?
No.
I got you.
Let's take a moment to talk a little bit about how Pat handled Bobbi Kristina's death. This headline says that Bobby Brown's sister claims that Pat Houston wants to pull the plug on Bobbi Kristina. Wait, why does she get to make the choice? Bobby Brown's sister had unleashed a furious rant against Pat. She wrote on Facebook, so-called Pat Houston, real name Marion Patricia Watson Garland, wanted so badly and had the nerve to sarcastically say that my brother Bobby, why don't you just pull the plug on Bobbi Chris because it's costing too much money to keep her alive. Wow. She also said in the post that Pat is not allowed to be anywhere near Bobbi while she's in this coma, that she needs to stay away because she would be the one to pull the plug. She's already talking about it. According to his sister, Pat is a money-hungry person only out to get the money that Bobbi Kristina received after her mother's death. She said instead of trying to inherit my niece's money for her personal gain, she should mind her own business and go find a job without continuously working so hard to destroy my niece, beg her for money, and get angry when she cannot get it. Actually, in her own words, she said that Pat has no right whatsoever to be near my niece's estate. You are nothing more than a manipulating beast, Pat. Pat Garland wants Bobbi Kristina gone so bad she can't sleep at night, and we all know why. Cha-ching. This person writes, if there was foul play, I believe Pat Houston was the one behind it. She probably did a setup and arrangement with Clive too. They both weren't making money off of Whitney anymore and figured they'd make more if she was gone. And that's a popular thing. They always say that these artists, after a couple, a decade or so in the industry, they're just more expensive than they're making money and that they'd be worth more if they weren't in the picture. Everyone is just trying to make some money. I mean, even when Bobbi Kristina had her funeral, somebody took a picture of her in her casket and sold it to the media outlets for more than $100,000. According to the site, the photo, which pictures her in her casket, was taken during the viewing. That is actually so sick. At the time, it looks like Bobby Brown's sister actually blamed Pat Houston for selling the photo. She's the one who was so excited for her to die so she can claim the estate.
That Pat Houston, Whitney Houston's former manager and sister-in-law, will find any way to make some money off of Whitney Houston. She just sold off Whitney Houston's likeness and assets to her music publishing. Okay. In all fairness, a lot of living and passed on celebrities have been selling off their catalogs. You've seen it with Lil Wayne. You saw it recently with Tina Turner. Who exactly did she sell it to? Primary Wave. They posted this tweet celebrating this new partnership with her estate. Primary Wave is also the ones behind this new movie that's coming out, I Want to Dance with Somebody. That actually looks really good. I know a lot of you are sick and tired of these documentaries and movies, and you all say, let Whitney rest in peace. I kind of wish, Pat, that you had started with this movie. It should have been done on this level and not on Lifetime.
Let's look through some items of Whitney's that have been sold. Her passport has been sold. Some earrings that she wore at her wedding. Oh my gosh, how violating is this? Another kind of like passport, another damn passport. Makes you think you want to lock this stuff up in a safe one day and throw it away because like I don't want anyone to own that stuff of mine. Somebody who's been so outspoken when it comes to everything in the music industry is Jaguar Wright. She's been really quiet lately ever since Jay-Z allegedly went and sued her. So hopefully she's hanging in there. So Jaguar Wright has spoken about this note that Brandy, Ray J's sister, supposedly had received from Whitney Houston. Whitney just passed it to her, and this note has been like a big piece of like conspiracy in this entire story. Here's a quick clip of Jaguar talking about how Clive set up Whitney for failure.
You want to know what Clive Davis did for Whitney Houston? He sent her on an international tour, and she was still getting high at the time. What happens if I put in Whitney Houston, Kazakhstan?
Oh, man.
This was not long before she passed away. It'll make you cry if you really love music and if you really love Whitney Houston.
Moving on to Brandy, she actually had a moment with Whitney.
Hold on, Sloan. And that reminds me of Amy Winehouse as well. You know what I'm saying? During her last, one of her concerts, she was completely, intoxicated, and she had to push through. And honestly, it was her backup singer or like one of the people that played one of the instruments. However, it wasn't her that sung that during that concert. And it's like, wow, they still make these folks push through no matter what when they're signed to these contracts here. Back to you, Sloan.
Right before she died, actually, Brandy was rehearsing for the pre-Grammys gala with Monica for Clive Davis because I guess he had hired her to be there. And that's when she saw Whitney because she randomly showed up. At the time, Whitney was under intense public scrutiny due to her ongoing personal struggles, and her presence at the rehearsal sparked noticeable reactions from those in the room. Whitney returned with her daughter later on, appearing visibly unwell. Brandy admits the atmosphere shifted with whispers and judgment filling the space. Seems like Whitney wasn't in a good place. So why was Clive trying to say that she was sober and so excited and happy? But in that rehearsal is when Whitney slipped Brandy this note. And we still don't know exactly what was in it. That same night, Brandy called Whitney and they spoke on the phone for 3 hours, and that was their final conversation. Brandy says Whitney listened as only someone who had walked in the same treacherous path could. With complete understanding without judgment, her silence offered more comfort than any platitudes. Baby girl, what did I tell you all those years ago when you were just a little girl begging me to meet little old me? She asked Brandy and recalled, it seems like it was a reflective, healthy conversation. When she learned that Whitney died, she was shocked. She said that Whitney would always be with me in every note that I sang, in every challenge I faced, and every moment I chose courage over fear. We actually do have a moment of Whitney passing along this note to Brandy. It's actually in front of Clive Davis. It's actually so awkward because it just comes out of nowhere. Brandy wasn't expecting it, and I just wonder what she had to tell her. So that moment is so awkward, and people have
This is for
theorized
you.
what this could mean. Also, it just seems like everything was so orchestrated and planned, and everyone's one person saying one thing. Clive is saying that Whitney was sober and great. Others are saying that she seemed like a hot mess. We really have so many different accounts. I don't know who to believe.
Oh, child of God, let's put another good question on the table. Who pre-ordered Whitney Houston's casket? Because she was buried in 8 days, also in a Promethean casket that takes 14 days to make. Somebody tell me something, oh God.
This comment reads, I think Whitney knew something was going to happen to her. Another
Maybe
person writes,
continue to
where are you
rise.
getting your information from? It takes 14 days for a casket. Well, to close out this video, here is a blind item about Clive and Whitney. The record producer, label owner, knows as soon as he dies, he won't be able to control all the stuff about him getting out, like how he had a hand in the death of the A-list singer. If you did not know this, you guys heard it here first. But really, Whitney Houston never got that justice, and it's so unsettling. I have another video about Princess Diana. If it's not out, definitely go and check that out, because these deaths, I feel like there needs to be an open investigation. Like, what do you guys think? But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.
All right, thank you, Sloan. Thank you. All right, y'all. So, if you want to, go ahead and subscribe to Sloan's channel and show your support. As I'm going to go ahead and subscribe. Thank you so much for this moment. I appreciate that. In my little delusional mind, we just did this together. So, thank you so much, Sloan. And until next time, much peace, much light, much love, but especially that darkness, because of dark matter. Love y'all.